County Department of Education now convene at the regular board meeting on Wednesday, June 19th, 2019, in the boardroom at 6300 Irvington Boulevard, Houston, Texas, at 1 p.m. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present at this meeting at the Board of Trustees. As trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personal appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the department are a responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on today's agenda. Agenda items will not be necessarily handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of the meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted under sections 551.071 to 551.084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones be turned off or in the silent position. Thank you for taking time this afternoon to join us for your interest in the Harris County Department of Education. The first thing I'd like to call forward is Nathan Jones from Technology to give us our invocation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Heavenly Father, as we come today to make decisions that will impact not only people in this room, but the children of Harris County, we ask for your wisdom and your guidance. Would you guide us down paths that are unclear to us and give us wisdom to make decisions, Father God, that will bring glory to the kingdom. We pray, dear Heavenly Father, for these people, these men and these women that have given up their time to serve on this board. We pray, dear Heavenly Father, that they would understand the purpose of unity, not necessarily ideologically, but at least unified on one goal, and that is the goal of promoting the welfare of the children of Harris County. We thank you for this organization. We thank you for the leadership of this organization, and we ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Jamie Salinas? Pledges to the U.S. flag and Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. Okay, now I'd like to begin the open forum. First on list is Colleen Vera.
Good afternoon. Did they get their handout, Melissa? Okay, I gave y'all a handout today. My name is Colleen Vera. I'm a retired teacher and a conservative activist, and I attended the workshop last week that the superintendent gave for his budget. And one of the things that really concerned me was all the extra money that he mentioned that he had, and that how the plan for spending that extra money. Well, it's all the taxpayers' money, so there's no reason to be collecting more taxpayer money when you have so much extra in the bank. So what I did is I gave y'all a conservative budget for next year. It's just a general budget, but one thing it does is take out the things that you're doing that compete directly with the Educational Service Center 4, which is only 9 miles from here. All of the people in both entities are in the teacher retirement system of Texas, so Texas taxpayers have to pay for those people for the rest of their lives. There's no reason we should be competing with them. They're sponsored with state tax money instead of local tax money, so we don't need to be doing that stuff. So all the schools and everything would still be operating, just getting rid of that extra overhead that is competing with the ESC. Also reducing the number of assistant superintendents and all that kind of stuff that you have. And one of the things that I did take out was all the unnecessary out-of-state travel and all the food budgets for local food. so that the superintendent is not taking board members out for $85 for lunch and things like that. So I suggest you look at it and consider it. It's still supporting therapy services and all that kind of stuff, but it gets rid of the fluff and unnecessary administrative positions that the Texas taxpayers have to pay for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Duhon?
Hi, board. Hope you're well today. I'm Andrea Duhon. I just actually want to come and congratulate you guys today on the fact that there doesn't seem to be anything particularly nefarious on this agenda. So it seems as though you're going to have a relatively smooth meeting. So congratulations on that. I want to also ensure that you all know that we are still watching, though. Parents and advocates who care about these programs, we care about the students, the children that you have committed to serve. We will be watching, and we have no reason to trust that this type of tranquility will continue, because we have a board member who has been twice censured. We have a holdover, and a president of the board who has testified in the Senate against the goodwill and functioning of this entire department. So we are watching. We want to ensure that there are no nefarious things on these agendas. And thank you for today not having any. Take care.
Thank you. Miller? Jay Miller?
Good afternoon, board. My name is Jonathan Miller, and like Andrea, I'm here again just to address the board. Like she said, there doesn't seem to be anything crazy on this agenda, which we appreciate. We're here just to make sure that you're aware that we will be here every single month watching. I will have to leave as soon as I'm done talking to go back to work, but I will be watching the YouTube video to make sure I stay informed of what's going on. I do hope at some point, maybe it's not this meeting, but maybe in the next one, the board talks about ethics within the board itself. We have a board member that has been censured twice and still gets a vote. We have a board member that has moved out of his district. And we have a president that has went to Senate and did not support this board. So we have 3 board members on here that don't seem like they have the best interests of this board. This is very important. I know in a time where things are crazy and anything can happen. We have activists that come up here that you know, give their opinions and stuff, but they also have ethics issues as well as trying to get thousands of black and brown voters off the poll books. So we have to be careful about who's coming in here, what advice that's getting brought to this board itself, and making sure that this board is solely focused on making sure that kids in Harris County are getting the educations that they need. So thank you.
Thank you. Move on to reports. The annual update from technology. Lowell Ballard.
Okay, my name is Lowell Ballard. I am Director of Technology. I've been at HCDE for about 10 months, so it's almost a year. So this will be my first update. This will be a quick overview of where we're at and where we're headed, but it should give you enough information to where if you need to dive deeper or have questions at the end, you can ask those. I'll go over the personnel, the strategic direction. There's a significant strategic direction change related to the cloud. Give you a high-level overview of the financial information, services provided, and accomplishments and projects for next year. We are 3 groups in technology. So there's the applications group, the operations group, and the help desk. Tim Davis is managers of applications here today. Nathan Jones, manager of operations, who just gave the invocation. Where's Nathan? That is prayer. Oh, okay. So you met him in a way. And then Jamie Salinas is help desk manager. So that's our 3 groups. Altogether, we're 23 staff, and we We are an internal service organization that provide technology across all the divisions of HCDE. We do have a significant strategic direction change over the last few years. This is all throughout IT industry, so it's not just here. But moving to the cloud, we just are almost finished, with maybe one exception, of completely moving all our email to the Office 365 cloud. But that's just the first step. There's pretty much all of the technology services. There's an equivalent service in the cloud that we're evaluating and potentially moving to. So you'll see these names: Office 365, Azure, and Dynamics. The reason for moving to the cloud is economy of scale. So they can do things on a much broader scale than we can, or any smaller or mid-sized organization can. So some of the prices are lower because of that. They do give significant educational discounts. So at least the low-hanging fruit, which we've done, is actually saving a fair amount of money. So in the last year, with some of the migrations away from local services, we've netted about $80,000 a year savings. That's what we're not paying on some local systems minus what we're having to pay in the cloud. So now that's the low-hanging fruit. So that's not going to happen every year, but this direction change is a benefit, and then we hate using all the same services that a lot of larger organizations are using as well. So it should be a benefit to HCDE. This is an overview of the technology budget. So we have about $3.9 million allocated for the central technology budget. Now note, that's not technology across all divisions necessarily, but the bulk of technology spending is in the central IT budget. I was hoping to get you the broader number today, but I don't have that today. I do, the industry averages are across institution. So this is an initial, I wanted to give you some context just to show we're not out of the ballpark on where we're at, but these numbers we'd have to dive into to give you more specifics. The things are going to change more. There's going to be probably less hardware as we go to the cloud, more software and services, and training. This next year we're doubling the training budget because we're pretty much moving away from almost every system we have local to the cloud. So that's an overview. Again, notice the metrics. Some of the metrics are from 2012. So this is, like I said, it's a high-level overview. If I would need to dive deeper if you wanted to draw any conclusions from that. This is a listing. I won't go into all this. It's a pretty detailed slide. But I did want to give you a feel for all the various services that we do support. It's a wide variety of systems and services across all three groups. Some of the things I'll highlight from the help desk services, 84% of the requests they got to the help desk resolved without escalating to higher level support, which is a pretty good number. And resolving it by the target date, 79% is a good average as well. Next year, we're actually tracking something a little different. We're going to be tracking calls closed on first contact, and that's important because it's a good customer service thing and a cost savings thing if their issues can be resolved immediately instead of having to work on that and hand it off. But we do have a lot of services we support. Here's some of the service objectives for next year. I think I already mentioned the closed on first contact. We've been meeting the customer satisfaction numbers each year. I think it was 92.5% last year. And then we're having more of a focus on working more with we've done a fair amount in the past with workflows and online forms, but we're focusing there as well and to get more of the forms to be able to submit the data directly. Notice some of the things we're tracking internally, which people outside of the group wouldn't see, but addressing single points of failure. If there's outages, that's usually due to a single point of failure, and tracking potential cost savings. Some of the accomplishments, I already mentioned the email going to the cloud. We've done the first system, the HCDE learning management system is in the Azure cloud today. Last year, we did a workstation refresh of about 250 workstations at the schools. So the majority of the workstations are newer now. We've sent 2 technology staff to PowerSchool training, and I wanted to have that in the slide just to show that we are trying to focus more on the academic side. We're very much, there's a lot of work to be done on the administrative side, but we also do support the academic side and want to focus on that area. We did a full, being new 10 months ago, I did a full review of all the line items of the budget. That's where we came up with the 10 systems that have been consolidated. Most of that's to the cloud. There's one or two other things, but that's where some of that savings has come from. We did a major ERP system, that's finance and HR. So we did a major upgrade of that as well. And Windows 10 upgrades, we're about 75% complete on getting workstations to Windows 10, which is the current standard. And that's fairly common in industry, that across all industries, about 75% of the workstations have been upgraded, so that's not uncommon. Upcoming projects. One of the things the cloud gives us is that there's software that end users or individual departments have access to by default that we don't have to install anything. They don't have to go to IT to do anything with it. They really just need training of how to access it. And so Power BI is one of those. It's kind of Excel on steroids, or taking what they can analyze in Excel and publishing it to the web. So we're doing working with a contractor to do dashboard and day training for the departments on that, or the divisions. OneDrive and SharePoint, that's another of the low-hanging fruit for the cloud. Basically, to educational institutions, they give us unlimited storage for the cloud, which is quite amazing. So anything that we've got stored locally now that we pay for every 3 to 5 years, we have to buy new disks. If we put it in the cloud, it's free. So that's one of the other low-hanging fruit that we're going to be working on this year. Project service and Microsoft Teams. Again, that's another service. It's in the cloud, takes just training. We're using Microsoft Teams internally and been trained on it in technology, but we want to take that and help other divisions do that as well. And Microsoft's coming out with a new project service later this year. IT service management system, that's we'll be moving to the cloud as well, and that integrates with the project service. So the IT service management system manages all the requests that technology fulfills, and then the project service is the project side of that. So that's the operations and the project side that'll work together. School Data Sync is a service that will take the data, the student records, and create accounts for students and groups for the classes they're in. And that's that's a 2-minute warning, right? Okay. 5-minute warning. You have 2 minutes. Okay, good. School Data Sync, so it'll help individual accounts for students so that they can automatically log in and we can know which student is doing what with third-party services. Today they have accounts in the labs that are specific to the labs, but this will give them, for the students that would be using that, it'll give them that. Conference room, audiovisual upgrades. I don't know if you'll notice, but the projector here is brighter this time than in the past. So they've replaced the projector. That's also true up in the 500s, and we're going to be doing that at NPO as well, replacing all that. There was a backlog of upgrade needs, and we've allocated the funds, and we're getting all those up to where they're bright and they're new. So that'll be good. And then last but not least, IT security enhancements. There's a few things we need to do. There's a lot been done in the past, but some of the things with the cloud gives us some additional abilities, and we're going to be repurposing a position at a retirement. One of their staff is retiring. We're going to be repurposing that position to be a dedicated IT security position. So instead of IT security being handled by a little bit here, a little bit there, and other places, it'll be one person who will be dedicated to that. Their standards we'll be tracking. We've already implemented in the cloud Office 365 advanced threat protection, so that anytime anybody clicks on a link, it goes and checks at that time, and if it's malicious, it won't let them go. So that's new, and it scans. It actually takes attachments or files and takes it up to the cloud and opens them up and runs them to see if there's anything wrong with them, and then if not, then it'll let it go. So we've got that. We're replacing the workstation antivirus, so it's built in with, Microsoft got some new advanced threat protection on the workstations, which we procured. We're in the process of rolling that out. And then workstation management, we're automating that so that if we used all their tools, technology wouldn't even have to touch the workstation. They could deliver it right to the people. So we've got a lot of security things we're working on this year, and that's time.
Thank you. Can I just ask one question about the student accounts?
Sure.
How many do we have a max of how many we have, and how many do we actually use?
I don't have an answer to that question. It would be every individual student would get an account. Whether they actually use them, that would depend on the school and what they want to do with them. But on the technology side, we can make accounts for all the students. It's unlimited. There's no charge for the licenses.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Superintendent James Colbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually have a short list this month. A couple of just things I wanted to make the board aware. First, this is, I believe, our second week, maybe it's our third week of summer work hours, second week, where both this building and our other administration building, all of our campuses, in fact, are working between Monday and Thursday, taking Friday off. We save a tremendous amount of money being able to shut these buildings down with electricity. So that's something that we actually look forward to, it, except for waking up and getting up here much, much earlier in the morning. This week, Mr. Parker and I will be traveling to Austin to the UT's and TASA summer conference meeting. This is an annual meeting that a number of superintendents throughout the state attend in accordance with the University of Texas and TASA. We have a number of superintendents from the Houston area that attend that meeting also. And it's more of an informative conference. Next week, however, we've been invited to present at the ARS and ARHE. Don't ask me what those acronyms mean. But myself, Mr. Parker, Dr. Mays, and Dr. Moten have been invited to present at the National Conference for Sobriety. Do you know what that stands for, Parker? ARHE?
ARS is the Association of Recovery Schools. The ARHE is the Association of Recovery in Higher Ed.
So this conference is a combination of the college sobriety programs along with adolescents. Every year they have a national conference. Last year they had it in Houston. The year before that, I think it was Austin. This year it's in Boston. We've been invited to present on that, coming from a public education perspective, which I consider it an honor, but I really look forward to our opportunity to be able to talk about some of the work that we've done with Fortis Academy and where we aspire for that program to go, and also reach out to people from other states and maybe get some good ideas from them. And finally, I just wanted to make the board aware that this summer is very busy. Actually, for the administration, summer is probably a busier time than during the school year. We just finished having another budget meeting a second ago, and so Dr. Amesqua, his crew, and myself will be working diligently to be able to present an immaculate budget to this board for their approval in July. And we'll spend quite a bit of time on that. Our campus principals, along with Dr. Mays, will spend a tremendous amount of time, along with Ms. Truitt, and making sure all of our positions get filled this summer. As we talked about in the budget meeting, it's a very competitive environment where everybody's racing to try to get these positions filled, competing against one another. We also have professional development that's happening throughout the entire summer. Dr. Mays will be leading all of our staff members through extensive professional development later on in the summer when they're returning. And then, of course, the planning for convocation, which is symbolic to us beginning yet another school year, which I'll give you more information about that later on in the summer, but I'm hoping that all the board members can attend that. And with that, that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. And the next on the agenda is a board feasibility subcommittee. Mr. Don Sumners.
Yes, I'd like to report that we did have a recent member meeting of the facilities committee and decided to pursue a couple of strategies to replace our Coolwood Head Start school with the new facility under two different financial models, but we are proceeding rapidly with that because our present campus is inadequate, to say the least.
Thank you, Mr. Sumners. Are there any other board members that have a report? Okay, you're up, Dr. Mesqua.
These are the financial highlights as of May the 31st, 2019. We'll also review the budget amendment report, and all are posted on our website. Our balance sheet as of May the 31st, we have assets of $43,733,792, liabilities of $1,829,085, and equity of $41,692,417. and appropriations from fund balance of $212,290. Our estimated fund balance as of May 31st is $29,199,875. We also have excess of current revenues and resources as of May 31st of $12,492,546. Our financial ratios, our first one is the percent of fund balance to general fund expenditures ratio. We're at 49%, where last year we were at 45%. Working capital ratio of 42 million versus 37 million a year ago. Undesignated fund balance ratio at 42%, same as last year. Debt to income ratio, we're at 7%, same as last year at the same time. Tax revenue to total revenue ratio, we're at 29%. Where at the same time we were at 31% a year ago. Indirect to tax ratio, we're at 2%, the same as last year. Fee for service ratio, we're at 22%, slightly under a year ago at 23%. Fee for service growth ratio now growing at a 6% rate versus negative 5% a year ago due to Harvey. Our fund balance activity for the last several months are identified in this chart, and our budget to actual revenues year to date out of the general fund, we have 89% received or billed. Special revenues are 49%, debt service 96%, and overall we're at 75% from budget to actual. This is our amendments and how we amend our budget cumulative each month, and this month is for $68,499. Expenditures, our ninth month of the year is basically 75% of the year has lapsed. In our general fund, our budget to expenditure ratio, we're at 64%. Our special revenue funds are at 63%, and overall, we're at 63% overall from budget to actual. Our donations report, we're at $59,858.39. For the month of May, we have $7,745.63 of in-kind. Divisions such as Head Start, TLC receiving some in-kind grants and donations from private sector. This is our revenue in terms of certified values, rather. The adopted tax rate a year ago, it was at $449.6 billion. As of today, we are at $447 billion, so there's still actually $2 billion less. If you look at this as a month of May, it actually has gone down how much it is going to end up the year. So where we estimated our budget at $449 billion, as of right now, we're at $447 billion. 0.7. We are projecting $461 billion, and we received a letter of $477 billion estimate for the new year. And so if that happens, then that means that if we get 447 billion as the last values for the 2018, that means that our values would have an impact of 100,000 negative to our projected budget for being able to collect additional revenue for the taxes for 2018. Year to date, we just saw a chart as of April. As of May, we are at 97.5% budget to actual. We still have 583,000 to collect, and we continue to pay refunds. And year to date, we're at $61,263 in refunds, which has a budget impact of $211,263. So even if we collect the entire 583,000, we still have another 211,000 to collect for delinquent taxes. We may not make the complete revenue projection here. Penalty and interest, on the other hand, has gone up a little bit by 142,000, so that will offset a little bit of that delinquent tax to be able to offset that. The year-to-date revenues are $22,819,775. We paid the HCAT fees of $170,178 and tax office fees of $458,226. Our disbursements for the month were $3,750,072, 554 checks, 622 transactions, and 6 transfers. And the segment division data, which includes encumbrances, education certification, $290,694, a lot of revenues to come in this summer. Records management, there's several months of billing that we still need to record here, $447,715. School-based therapy, $605,659. And schools of $1,210,647. In terms of choice partners, we projected a 45% ratio of budget to actual. It's actually right now running at 75%, or $4,871,677. Our amendments are 2 amendments, one for the general fund, $2,500, and special revenue fund for $4,304,470. $2,500 is an additional contribution received by Centerpoint for EcoBot, $2,500. And then we have a number of new grants that are going to start in the month of this summer, July. They start in July. And so these are adult ed programs that have a different fiscal year than in our fiscal year. And there are a total of $4,304,470. So they don't start in September, they start in July, so you'll see 2 months of activity. Then we'll amend again in the month of September, October to capture the 2 months and then amend for the new year. Our PFC update, these are the expenditures, $2,458,998, and they're by expenditure type, also listed there, and you also just saw the same report at the PFC meeting. This is where we have our interest and how we have our interest each month. So we are looking at interest of approximately $20,974, an amount from previous revenue bonds of $157,000. So available funds invested are $9,906,189. These are all the expenditures that are listed individually by the date of the disbursement. And here's where I was mentioning earlier that these are our earnings every month. And this is as if we were apply at 168 rate, this is what we would earn. But the excess of $35,000 is the above the 168 that we need to set it aside as a payable to the IRS in 5 years when we do the calculation for this particular bond. The change here is the date of substantial completion that the PFC committee and the board just approved. That's the only change in the timeline. Any questions on the first report of the financial statement? Oh, okay.
Thank you. Carry on.
Let me go now to the investment report. On the investment report, again, all of our investment policies are certified and information posted on our website. Total portfolio of $51,557,404, and the Public Facilities Corporation amount of $9,990,332. All of our funds are in Techstar, TechSpool, Lone Star, and Chase. And in the PFC, it's all on TechSpool, Bank of Texas, and JP Morgan Chase. The portfolio difference from a year ago at the same time, it's 10% difference from a year ago, or $4,710,991. All our maturity days are pretty much overnight, so that we have 41 million earning overnight rates. And we've earned year-to-date 543,801, and PFC has earned $162,574 year-to-date. We're earning 2.39 on our funds, and this is how our rates have varied over the last 12 months. We started the year earning less than 1%, and right now we're at 2.39, almost double than when we started the fiscal year. Any questions on our investments? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can move it on. We've got the consensus items. Does anybody need to flag any of the consensus items? Going twice? Okay. All in favor of the consensus? I need a motion to...
So moved.
Don Summers? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of the consensus agenda, raise your hand. On to the non-consensus items. Item A, consider possible action regarding approval of one or more options related to the Coolwood Head Start facility. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, just to clarify, because of the way that the agenda item is written with regarding approval of one or more options, perhaps it would be best to hear what those options are before a motion is made, if that's okay. You withdraw your motion.
Sure.
Thank you.
On this.
This was a byproduct of the feasibility meeting we had. Mr. Sumner spoke about earlier that there was a couple of options that we had to pursue about replacing that facility. I believe you were also part of the discussion, and so I think the feasibility committee wanted an item on here so we could discuss it amongst the board, so they could the board could let us know what pathway to moving forward. Dr. Mesqua, can you articulate the two options, please?
Yes, there were two options. One is to pursue with a grant application for a lease, a monthly build-to-suit lease, which is a normal operating lease. And the second option is to look at a grant application for the purpose of submitting an application, receive funding, and build it ourselves, and possibly requiring a match and possibly receiving funding from the federal government for the full amount of the building. Right now, as an update to that committee meeting, the federal government, we received some preliminary information that potentially they could waive the local in-kind or the match, and that we would be eligible to receive indirect costs, which basically we could get indirect costs and reduce our in-kind match by being able to use those dollars towards our contribution.
Do we have any action items that you need for us to?
Other than basically proceeding with looking at our grant applications, before we submit it, we'll have to bring it to you for approval. Am I correct?
Well, and Ms. Langlois just reminded me, if you remember when we had that feasibility committee, one of the biggest concerns we had was the timing. That there was somewhat of a sense of urgency because there was some pending money from the feds that we could get probably at a really good interest rate, but we would need the decision if that was the direction that we were going to go in moving forward versus the other methods that Dr. Amesqua spoke about.
This is the item where we were talking about actually pursuing both methods?
One or the other.
Well, can we pursue both and then?
Pursue both of them simultaneously to see
yes. Okay,
if
you're
which
right.
one would be more advantageous to the department.
Okay, so you need a motion for us to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion that we instruct the administration to follow a dual path at this moment for replacement of Coolwood. One path being to find a build-to-suit investor to lease the facility to us. The other path would be to build the facility ourselves and operate it for Head Start.
Second.
Mr. Sumners, does your motion include the authority to submit the application for the disaster relief grant funding?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
For those who weren't able to make the feasibility meeting, basically, the grant was what we discussed was the grant was most likely going to be the option. It's coming with Harvey money. From what I understand, it's coming because Harvey money is being released now. So that was an option that we were given, and plus this side of town this part of town, it's very industrial. So the likelihood of getting somebody to getting a builder to build something this specific on this area is not as likely. So that's why the grant option was the most likely option. But we want to pursue both options. That's what we decided. So.
Any further discussion?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I second
do. Okay. Seeing no additional discussion, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. None opposed? Going to the second item, consider and approve for the Head Start Division to pay for professional development and travel expenses of non-employee per the Head Start grant for the period of January 1, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the proposal, please raise your hand. None? Okay. Next item, consider approve to dispose of playground equipment located at 1725 Pruitt Street, Baytown, Texas, 77520. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? I'll second. Is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions?
This is the equipment that costs more to
remove.
to remove than to dispose of. Okay. All right, just making sure.
Okay. Seeing no additional discussion, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Okay. Item D, consider approval of the HCDE Early Head Start Child Care Partnership contracts with the following vendors: Descott LC, Fellowship of Purpose Early Childhood Learning Center, John G. Jones Learning Center, Let's Learn Christian Learning Center. Each contract will be valid from August 1st, 2019 through July 31st, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll move to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. 6-0. Next item, consider approval of contract for quality security systems in the amount of $61,000 to provide security cameras upgrades at the ABS East campus. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, can we get a brief description of why we're doing this and what is the new part of it?
Yes, sir. So for the camera systems, what we're doing is we're upgrading from analog to digital. And to give you basic comparison, it would be like from going from a dial-up internet to high-speed fiber. And so what we're seeing is that the DVR has reached its life expectancy, and on a good day, we've got 30 days worth of video recording. And so we're actually proposing to upgrade the camera system. So currently the analog cameras operate on coaxial cables. We're proposing to go over power or Ethernet Cat5 cables, 4 megapixel. We're adding additional coverage outside of the building so that we cover the entire perimeter. Also, we'll be able to do advanced searches and cut the time for, if in case we have a request for a specific video, it'll actually reduce the staff time it takes to search for whatever it is that we need to find. So,
Will this equipment be 5G compatible?
it's over fiber, so 5G is cellular. So everything's through a secured server, so it's not wireless.
Okay, so, but we still can have access through the internet to get this stuff?
Absolutely. It's a software that would have to be installed onto the user's computer, which is over a secured server. So not wireless though. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the new security system, please raise your hand. 6-0. Next item is consider and approve contract for quality security systems in the amount of $100,000 to install new system of intercom and access control to the ABS East campus. Essentially the same thing.
Yes, sir. It's a little different. This is access control. So, in a couple board meetings ago, I remember Dr. Moore, suggesting that we take a hard look at security systems, and that's one of the things we've been focusing on, is going campus to campus and doing an assessment. So there are currently no access controls at ABS East, and what we're proposing to do is install a AI phone, which is essentially like a commercial grade ring system at the entrance gate. And so let me see what we have here. So the actual, to give you a broad overview of the location of the school, it's located right off the side of a feeder road, and here is the main entrance coming in. We'll actually have to install a new underground conduit for this AI phone, and the receptionist will have be able to monitor and see who comes into the building before they even get onto the property. We'll be replacing a double door here to accept the new Von Duprin and AD400 hardware systems, replacing 2 staff entrances here with new doors and access controls. So it really tightens up the security inside the building, so we actually monitor everybody who goes in. At this point, these doors stay unlocked, so at any given time, somebody who can come in through the gate, and we'll have full control over the system here. Yes, sir. And just to give you a picture of old doors that we cannot accept the newer technology, so we'll have to replace that.
And all the anticipated costs are included in this 100,000?
Yes, sir. That, and the reason for the high price is because we have to replace the doors. These doors are commercial
And
grade
digging
doors.
an underground conduit, it's not cheap
Absolutely.
either. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let me, am I misunderstanding that we're now going to be able to control what happens before the people get into the parking lot?
Absolutely. We'll stop them here at the entrance gate.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Here we.
The A-phone, what it looks like or something.
Okay.
So the A-phone, if some of you may be familiar with the ring for your house, it's basically a camera and a doorbell. And so this is the commercial grade, and it'll record and log all the visitors that are coming into the building. Currently, we only have a phone system, a phone intercom system. So
What is the exposure for the external camera to vandalism? Is it just a pole and then somebody could mess with it, or?
It's very small, the camera's.
And it's cheap? Is it cheap, or is it expensive? Is it an expensive camera that we're laying out there?
No. It's part of the intercom system that'll attach at the gate, so it's all in one. But the camera's not very big at all.
What I mean is that if somebody's able to walk up to that and and is that going to be a large expense to replace?
I wouldn't say it's a large expense. It's not the bulk of the price. I mean,
Certainly not, right.
I can get you a price in a few minutes.
Well, I mean, we're talking less than $1,000?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We wouldn't have to go back to the board for it.
Right, okay.
Yes, sir.
One more question. Is this system going to be able to record vehicles coming in and out, going out?
Absolutely. As soon as it has a basically a sensor that alerts that that somebody's coming, like a proximity sensor, and then as soon as somebody hits the I guess it's a doorbell, and so it'll start recording. And so there's a log of time and images of every visitor to the site.
I would just say that, I think that your explanations have been exceptional, probably too exceptional, that we might want to keep some of this stuff to ourselves and not have it, casting over YouTube Live, how our security system is going to be working, including the floor plan.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree.
That's my heart a little bit.
Is that a motion to make it an executive session discussion?
Could do that.
Yeah. I mean, no? Everybody's okay with this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any additional discussion? Seeing no discussion, all to consider the approval of the quality systems RFP 17/07JN-7. Please raise your hand. We never got a motion? No, we didn't discuss it until we got a question.
No.
Until we got a motion.
Neither of us have.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, just raise your hand. Okay. Next item, consider and approve of contract with Facilities Sources in the amount of $145,000 to remove and install a new roof at the High Point East campus. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? No discussion, we'll move to the vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Next item, consider approval of contract with CDW-G for the purchase of network infrastructure, not to exceed $60,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion?
We recently approved the acquisition of a bunch of new computers. Were those all for here in the administration, as opposed to this? request?
Let's see, do you know which computers are we talking about this? I'm not.
This is Head Start.
It was a previous acquisition a few months back of a considerable number of computers.
Yeah, this agenda item's for the network infrastructure.
Right.
Trying to figure out what the two different acquisitions were.
This would be different from computers. This is edge switches and routers that connect the network, and then power supplies for those. So these wouldn't be computers at all. These would be network equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional discussion? I do have one thing with regard to these last four and the next item, Dr. Amesqua. Where is the funding going to be with this?
For
these 5 items.
you're talking about the infrastructure?
Yeah, well, yes, the 5. Yeah,
They're usually general fund revenue, but we get reimbursed through E-rate.
Okay.
They're a federal grant.
Okay. And that's just this one, this particular one, we're getting reimbursed. But the other 3 that's just out of general.
They're budgeted in general fund.
Okay, so we'll see that as a change order for next year, or a budget amendment for next meeting?
No, they're already in the budget.
Okay.
It's just because it's over 50,000.
I got you. Okay.
To bring to the board.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor of the consideration of contract or CDW-G, raise your hand. Straight up. Consider, the next item is consider and approve of the purchase of, with CDW-G for replacement assets, including 64 Lenovo laptop computers for High Point East and Technology. Amount not to exceed $192,697. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Back to my other question, since these are computers. I don't think you were even here when we authorized that other expenditure.
You may be referring to the 250 computers replaced last year. So these would be, those aren't these computers, these would be additional computers. Most of these computers are actually the training rooms up in the 500s. So there's only a few of them in there for High Point East.
Oh, okay.
But most of them are for the training rooms, and and this is for any expenditures to CDW-G. So it's a variety of things for a variety of purposes, but that's the bulk of the computers.
So what I'm really we're not replacing computers that we just replaced.
No. These are all
over 5 years old?
Yeah, at least over, yeah.
Any additional discussion? Vote, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, now we're going to be moving into executive session. Under the Texas Government Code, pursuant to any and all purposes permitted by sections 551-001 through 551-084, including but not limited to 551-071 and 551-074. We're going to executive session at 2 o'clock. Yes, you would like to reconvene out of executive session. The time is 2:27. One additional item has been on here. It's the employment of A-7 Principal, Academy of Behavior, School East. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. The rest of the agenda is informational. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
What is your motion?
Move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, raise your hand.
to stay longer.
Is now 2:28. We're out of here.